So I'm curious about your research. I mean, what questions did you bring to these interviews, and what did you learn?
So we were really interested in part how poor households were earning money, both in urban, peri-urban, and rural contexts. And by peri-urban, I'm talking about kind of suburban areas around the city, although many of these peri-urban areas tend to be quite poor in Botswana. Um, so, where were they getting their money from? How were they spending their money? What proportion of their household budget were they spending on food? And then really what happened when food prices went up. So we were asking lots of questions about coping. So do you simply eat less, or do you switch into lower value foods in order to accommodate that? Or do you spend less on other types of expenditures in order to feed the family? And we are also, one of the hypotheses that we were trying to explore is, for example, if urban households are having to spend more on food, does that have knock-on effects in rural areas? Maybe if they have to spend more on food, our thinking was that they'd have less money to send to the rural area, and then that might influence food security in that area. So we've yet to analyze this data. I couldn't give you a definitive answer to some of those issues that we were exploring. But I will say that large numbers of poor urban households spend a very high percentage of their income on food, well over 50%. So that when food prices go up, this is a real problem for them, because they're limited in terms of how much more they can spend on food. Somewhat surprisingly, I think we found that rural households as well are more dependent on the market for food than we had anticipated. That food production is fairly anemic, so they're not protected from the market in the way that we thought might have been the case.